Well, Marina Miron is a researcher in the War Studies Department at King's College London and joins us live now from here in the capital. Marina, thank you very much for your time this evening. Zelenskyy, he continues to walk a tightrope of diplomacy here. What's he trying to achieve in offering a referendum?
Good evening. Well, President Zelenskyy is in a very difficult position because of the political climate in his country, coupled with the fact that the US administration is pushing for a quick acceptance of the peace plan. And so, on the one hand, Zelenskyy and European allies disagree with some points of the peace plan, including the points related to territorial concessions. However, it needs to be presented to the US side in a very diplomatic manner. As if we agree with your plan, but here are some modifications. What do you think of it? Because for Ukraine or for Zelenskyy, it is important to win some time in order to clarify what guarantees he will get from the United States. On the one hand, on the other hand, we have the issue with territorial concessions. How do you sell it politically to the Ukrainian people? And of course, the Ukrainian society is divided on the question. It's not uniform. That being said, the majority still is against giving the Donbas to the Russians. So it is a tightrope that he's walking, and we will see what comes out of it as the US is gradually losing patience and might strong arm Zelenskyy into accepting something that might be politically damaging for him and might not be beneficial for Ukraine in the long term.
And Marina, is the proposal to turn the Donbas into a so-called free economic zone the US's way of getting around one of these sticking points in the peace talks? And how would it resolve the issue in Washington's view?
I think Washington views it as a benefit for the United States in the first place and some sort of a middle ground which can somehow satisfy both Russian and Ukrainian interests. How it would look in the long term, how it's going to be executed is a question, because it's contingent on resolving other points that are mentioned or have been mentioned by both the Russian and the Ukrainian side. And there is a lot of incompatibility. So before we get to the free economic zone in the Donbas, other points need to be resolved. And I think that is a main issue, rather than establishing something there that could potentially benefit both sides.
Look, Putin has already urged Trump to get rid of Zelenskyy. How strong is Zelenskyy's position at home right now? Because he says he's ready to hold elections. Does he have the same sway that he had before? How do you think he'd fare in elections right now?
At least from my reading, I have not seen any explicit calls to remove Zelenskyy from the Russian side. What the Russian side has been arguing is that Zelenskyy has lost his legitimacy. And therefore, if the Russians sign something with Ukraine, it would have to be somebody from the Ukrainian Rada signing for the signature to be legitimate and representative of what the Ukrainian people want. Now, as far as Zelenskyy is concerned, his position is shaky because of the anti-corruption investigations. And of course, he has no choice. His strong ally, Andriy Yermak, had to leave because of this. We don't know what else the anti-corruption agency will release and what other information they might have on the office of Zelenskyy or Zelenskyy himself. Therefore, for Zelenskyy, he has to tread carefully. He has to select a new advisor on the one hand that would please both the European allies and the Americans. On the other hand, holding elections, of course, he's trying to delays this, arguing quite plausibly that elections would require some sort of a ceasefire, as well as a referendum on territorial concessions as well. So he's arguing that as long as the war is continuing, there can be no elections because it would be quite difficult to conduct elections. So again, he's tying his presidency to some sort of a resolution which would see Ukraine receiving security guarantees from the United States, support from the Europeans, and some long-term plan for Ukrainian security and economic reconstruction in general.
Marina, really appreciate your thoughts and assessment there. Marina Miron speaking to us live there from Munich.